But you see, what is likely to happen is most of them might decide not to vote for governor because they are not happy with most of them, even those who were in Jubilee last time, they still voted for Kidero because Waititu was not what they thought would make a good governor.
A good governor.
Yeah, so there doesn't seem to be an option for them. So what most of them will do is to abstain. And if they don't vote, that reduces the numbers for Kidero. But the Kamba bloc will automatically fully rally behind Songo. Because they did it in 2013. They voted for Songo at Senate. Then they voted for Kidero because Mweke was the deputy. And look at the numbers when Jiru got when she was running for Senate. She gets the communities which were in CORD, who are basically the Luyas, Luos, Kisi, and Kamba. Then they vote for Songo for Senate. They leave Wanjiru. Then they vote for Kidero because Mweke was the running mate. So the same thing is likely to replicate itself. And unless somebody decides that they want to run an independent Kikuyu candidate, of course that will be spoiling for them. And it will cost them the seat. And that's the only way Kidero can win the election. If they get the Kikuyu bloc decide that they want to run a formidable candidate, or if Kenneth decides that he is going to run as an independent. But even if he runs as an independent, will he really win? I doubt. Because he's going in already damaged, you know. So you cannot, and two, how will it look like you have the mandarins of Jubilee? You have a candidate in the party here, and you are not supporting him. You go and support somebody else who lost in your primaries. It will not make a lot of sense. So they need to, I think ultimately they'll sit and decide and see what they can get for Kenneth to do. Or he can also take early retirement like the IBC commissioner as well.
Listen, we need to talk about the big names that have fallen in the party primaries, both the Jubilee Party and opposition. So listen, let's recap what's happening with Pope Francis, who is leaving for Egypt in a short while. I can see him boarding his plane. His visit is aimed at fostering reconciliation with the Muslim world against the backdrop of recent jihadist attacks in the Middle East's biggest Christian community. He is due in Cairo at about 3 p.m. Kenyan time. His 27 hours in Egypt on Egyptian soil will include meetings with the Grand Imam of the Al-Azhar Mosque, sealing a recent improvement in relations between Catholicism and the Sunni branch of Islam. So let's focus on what's happening in the country. The party primaries, some have been concluded, some are yet to happen. But in studio, I have Martin Ndati, political analyst, and Dr. Reginald Oduor, governance lecturer at the University of Nairobi. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with us. So a quick one, Daktari. We have seen very big names fall in some of these party primaries, and from the analysis that we have, quite a good number of incumbents are not going to be able to retain their seats. So what do you think contributed to this? Have we gotten to a point where you have an electorate that is more issue-based, or is it that the last 5 years have just given people an indication of what exactly to expect from their leaders?
Well, I think that, as I was saying earlier, the Kenyan electorate is evolving in an exciting way. For example, the Kiambu situation where the woman rep loses, and people know very well that she is related to the president. Yet they will vote for the president, for sure. They are telling him we can have our own thoughts. I remember, you know, I tend to get historical. And I remember the time when Raila was standing for elections as president for president in, I think it was 1997. And he came to my own people, the people of Ugenya, and he was trying to tell them to drop Orengo. And they told him, you know what, son of the old man, we will give you the votes for presidency, but for the MP, leave this one, it's ours.
It's ours, we make the decision, we'll decide who we want.
And I think the voters are starting to do that with the big wigs of the parties. They are saying, we may give you the presidency, but you will not control everything we do. And I think the Kenyan electorate, as it is developing, is becoming the politician's nightmare. Yeah.
And that?
Yeah, you know, the politician is not a respecter of wealth and power.
Yeah.
They don't even care about your academics. You know, in Butere, which neighbors where I come from, Toboso lost to an MCA who dropped out in school, I think standard 4. And you see, the masses are telling you, look, if you don't do what we want, we are king. And look at Kiambu, what he has just quoted. I think Kiambu, they were largely voting a protest vote, especially for the governor.
But even in game, Jakoyo Midio.
Yeah, but in the game, Jakoyo has never been winning the nominations. He always, he's given the certificate. The first time he lost to Rachir, twice. Rachir was denied the ticket. The last time he lost to Elisha Odhiambo, who has again beaten him this time. So he has always been a beneficiary of his closeness to the party leader. But you see, now the electorate is wiser the way he has said. If they deny Elisha Odhiambo the ticket, he'll definitely beat Jakoyo hands down, because he'll run as an independent. Yeah. Oburu lost to Ochanda, and you can see it. And people know that Oburu is Raila's brother, but he has been MP there. There have been issues, but Ochanda has served as an MP now for 5 years. So the people are saying, look, this guy has done a good job, and we retain him. Okay. So, and it's replicated across. And you know, I've said it on this show before. We would expect 70 to 80% of the sitting MCAs, like, is it Nandi, where all the MCAs went home?
They sent everyone home.
Yes, because they are telling you, look, we send you out there to do work. What you are doing is not what we expect. And you know, one good thing about our democracy, which is evolving, the next election will not largely be about ethnicity. You've seen it. Yes, that's where we are headed. Look at Eldoret. Tarbo, you know, DP's constituency. Who wins? Okwara. Okwara is Luya. So the other 6 guys are making noise and saying, how does an outsider beat us here? But you
so
see,
you
that is what it is. Look at Mishra in Keses. He is Asian. But you see, the people, and he wins with a landslide, you know. The guys there, the former MP gets 3,000, Mishra gets 28,000. Okay, listen, let's listen into what the president had to say, his reasons why he thinks the incumbents are sort of losing in these primaries. Let's listen in.
Mimi nataka kuwapongeza wale wote ambao wamechaguliwa. Na niwaambie ya kwamba wakae chonjo, kwa sababu wananchi wametoa sauti. Na sauti ambayo wametoa ni kusema ya kwamba wanaunga Jubilee mkono, ya kwanza. Lakini ya pili, wamesema kwa viongozi, hiyo mambo yenu ya kujiongeza mshahara muache. Wamesema hiyo mambo ya nyinyi kuenda kuweka allowances na kusafiri kuko na huko badala ya kutendea wananchi kazi, musahau.
Wow. Daktari, what are your thoughts?
That is one of the best analyses I've heard Uhuru give of a political situation, really. The only thing is that we have, I wouldn't totally agree with my colleague that the 2022 elections will have no ethnic factor. I would say it will be significantly reduced. But as long as we have a diversity of ethnicities, which we do, somebody is always able to use it in certain situations. But what I would say is it is losing ground, particularly in cosmopolitan constituencies. Yeah, it is going down because the electorate are becoming really global citizens, more and more. Even people who haven't gone to school very much are now being influenced by social media, and they are seeing beyond their village, and they are able, therefore, to even punish their own co-ethnics. That is going to happen. But if you look at certain particular blocks, like the Kikuyu block or the Luo block or the Kamba block in the rural areas, some of those will remain reasonably solid. But that doesn't mean that it will be as strong as it was in the 60s or 70s or 80s or 90s. Yes, it is reducing.
And actually, the president says part of the reason why probably 80% of incumbents will not make their way back is probably because of how they handle themselves in these first 5 years.
Yeah, there has been a huge disconnect between the leaders and the people. You know, some of them got elected, they disappeared. I'm told some of the MCAs went to live in town, and they said, now, you know, an MCA is not a councillor. So
And
he
then
must leave.
a few months to the general election.
Yeah, a few months to the election, they come back. They even abandon the wives. I'm told some of the wives are very happy because they had been abandoned. What it is the people, you know, MCA-ship came with a lot of money because they're earning about 300,000 plus allowances, almost 500,000. Then they are traveling and going to all these places. So the excitement,
to go and see
the
the
hour of
ridiculous
power,
things that
the
you can't
governors
even
are
believe
buying
it.
seats, and they become arrogant and dismissive. And you know, the Mwanainji saw you before you became governor. They saw you how you were living. Because we've worked with you here. Suddenly, we see the opulence, you know? And it's not translating into their lives. Because if the opulence around you is you are moving, and the masses also can feel that their lives are getting better, then they'll move with you. But you are the only one whose life is getting better. You are riding a bike. Now you are driving a V8. You know? So the masses keep on asking. And one good thing is social media has played a major role. But the main issue has been the FM stations and the TV stations.
Yes.
Because more people now are able to watch news. More people are able to access information on radio, especially in the rural areas. So the Kenyan voter is now more informed and more enlightened. Of course, the levels of education have also gone up.
Yes.
And then, Doctor, you know, the younger, the generation which was born, most of the people now who are 30, 40, they don't have a lot of ethnic, those emotions. What they look at is what opportunities are there.
Okay.
They don't care so much where your origins are, you know. When they sit on the table, the first thing they ask you, can we do a deal here?
Yeah,
So they will be, their main issue in the 2022 election would be who is the guy who is likely to create an environment where they will be able to thrive, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. But not that ethnicity will die off overnight.
All right.
But it will be considerably reduced, and it will not be the main issue of tool of mobilization.
Okay. Martin Ndati, political analyst, Dr. Reginald Oduor, governance lecturer at University of Nairobi. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this morning on News Center, and of course looking at the party primaries and looking at the political landscape that is playing itself out in the country. Gentlemen, thank you so much for creating time for us.
Thank you very much.
All right, so let's now cross over to, I believe, ANC headquarters, where Patrick Amimo is standing by. Patrick, can you hear me? Good morning. What's going on where you are?
Good morning, Linda. In fact, we are at the Amani National Congress head office, whose political party leader is Musalia Mudavadi. What they are doing now is that they are having their National Executive Council or National Executive Committee is meeting. They are holding it an in-house meeting just to do a post-mortem of the nomination process during the party primaries, whose at least date according to the IEBC were passed on lapsed on the 26th, but the High Court had to extend it up to 30th of this month. So they are doing a post-mortem of the party primaries. Also, this meeting just comes at least hardly 12 hours after Musalia Mudavadi was named a Premier Cabinet Secretary in charge of government coordination in the NASA structure as we head towards the August 8th polls when the NASA unveiled their presidential candidate who will be facing off with President Uhuru Kenyatta in the August polls. That is Raila Amolo Odinga. But at the ANC head office here, we have at least some aspirants who participated in the party primaries of the in the party primaries, and they do feel that maybe the process was not fair and free as it were, because they are telling me that in some areas the party did not hold nominations yet. They are seeing the deadline is fast approaching and they are anxious. They want to know whether their names will be on the final list that will be submitted to IEBC, because IEBC is expecting to start getting those party nominations for various candidates vying for different seats starting between 2nd of May and up to May 10th. This is the window period where now those people who participated in party primaries are supposed to submit their nomination certificates to IEBC for it to start the proper process for the August 8 polls. Just joining me is one Augustine Kundu, who was an aspirant in Bumula constituency on an ANC ticket, and he has at least some issues. Mr. Kundu, what happened in Bumula during the party primaries for ANC?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the NASA government, which is to come, for having picked on our person to be the premier and Mr. Wetangula to be the deputy premier, who are coming from Western Province. As the people of Western Province are giving a very strong support. Secondly, I want just to launch a complaint. Indeed, it isn't a complaint. Because like me, in Bumula, out of the 14 polling stations, because we have got 7 wards, each ward was given only 2 polling stations, but out of the 14 polling stations, only 7 managed to get ballot papers. And the areas where they received the ballot papers was the area of my opponent, whereby he expected me to be flawed. My area, particularly where I come from, I never received a single ballot paper in those areas. No, the voting never took that place at least. But in total, out of the 7, I again managed to beat my opponent. And after beating my opponent, whereby I managed to get over 3,000, my opponent only got to 1,000 votes. And since I hear that he is a preferred candidate, that's the claim that is there in Bungoma right now, he's been put on the list, whereby he's to be given a certificate, and whereby me, I was a preferred candidate by the main people, and him was a preferred candidate by the officers, or the officials in the county. They want to give him a certificate at my expense. That's why I'm saying now my people are demanding on the ground, whereby the area where we support NASA fully at the moment, let people who are preferred by the majority, popular candidates, be given certificates, like Mr. Luketero here, other than my opponent, who was preferred by few officials in the office to be given the certificate. I think that one is going to kill our morale, because we want to go back home and campaign as if we shall never campaign again. Since our president-to-be, Raila Odinga, has said that he's only going for 1 term, and I will support that because he has come up like the former South African president, Mandela, who said he will go for 1 term and he went for 1 term. We want to give him a good send-off, that old man, for the struggle he has given to our country. So I wish, and my prayer is that Mr. Luketero, who won the election in Bungoma County, and I was declared by the county returning officer, Mrs. Kere, I should take a certificate home today. But since I'm seeing my opponent who is walking around and issuing statements saying that he's been put on a list in Bungoma by the officials, and the areas, the same areas like where I come from, my wards, there was no election. And right now, the MCAs who are contesting are here. The preferred one have been put on the list to be given certificates. So I don't know how it's going to happen, and how you will convince people back home that this is the party that we are yearning for, and the party that is becoming very popular more than any other party in Bungoma. It will be sending very bad signals.
And maybe have you consulted party officials here to lodge your complaints, and what are they saying if you've done so?
Now, like I've sent messages to all our commissioners who are in Bungoma. And even to say that they should do it thoroughly to find out who won the election before giving that the mandate. I've done the complaint, and I'm waiting for the certificate to go back with home. Even my people at home, they're calling, thanking what the NASA government has done, but they want me to be on the ballot paper to face my opponents, particularly from the Jubilee government.
So, Linda, you see, those are some of the complaints that people gathered here at the ANC office complaining about the party primaries. Maybe the process did not go down smooth as it was. There are just a lot of people who are gathered here. If my cameraman, Nebat Saisi, if you could just pan across this compound and at least show some of those people who are gathered here, some of the aspirants who are anxious to know their fate, because the window is closing and they want to know whether they will be representing, flying the party the party ticket during the August 8th polls, either as members of the county assembly or members of parliament as we head towards the August 8th polls. This is the matter that, as I did indicate earlier, the National Executive Committee of ANC is deliberating on at the moment. Also, some of the differences that maybe did arise after NASA came up with its structure, because there are some in the party who might feel that maybe the position that was given Musalia Mudavadi as the premier cabinet secretary in charge of national coordination, maybe they think that position is not worth the stage of the party leader, and maybe those are some of the explanations that the party top wing will have to explain to their members, those both in the National Executive Committee and their party supporters down there on the ground, in order to understand what really this new arrangement the party is getting into, what it means. Because to many Kenyans out there, they don't really understand what this position means, like maybe a premier cabinet secretary or a deputy premier cabinet secretary. It's something that people think that maybe they are wondering whether we'll have a referendum to authenticate these positions, or there will be no referendum. Also, others are asking whether they'll be vetted or not by Parliament. So, Linda, that's what's happening at our ANC head office.
Amimo,
Linda?
can you hear me?
Yes, Linda.
All right, listen, it's interesting that you spoke to that gentleman about the agreement, that agreement that was unveiled yesterday in the afternoon, the opposition flag bearer being Raila Odinga, of course, alongside Kalonzo Musyoka. You've spoken to one gentleman. I'd love you to pick the minds of 2 or 3 more people there. What do they think about the fact that Amani national leader Musalia Mudavadi, probably if this goes through, will be the premier cabinet secretary in charge of government coordination? What do they think about this whole arrangement? Yes. That would be interesting.
Indeed. Let me just get along just on this particular aspect. Just my friend Cameron, we saw yesterday just NASA try to bring the party structure, where we saw the party leader, your party leader, Musalia Mudavadi, being given that position as the premier cabinet secretary in charge of government coordination. What's your take on that arrangement?
I would like to say it's not bad, because Raila vowed that he's only going for 1 term. And because he has struggled for this country, we are going to back him.
Yeah, those maybe who might have felt that maybe Musalia Mudavadi, the name NASA maybe might have come from Musalia Mudavadi, and he was maybe the right person to be the presidential candidate for NASA ticket. Is that something worth complaining about, that maybe you say it must have been Mudavadi and not Raila?
You know, Mheshimiwa Mudavadi, the way I know him, he wants what is good for the country. Now he has sacrificed his ambition for the sake of our country. It shows he has the good qualities of a leader. He's ready to sacrifice his ambition for the sake of the people. And that is a good example we want to add a leader to show.
In fact, those are just still going on to pick some minds of those who are gathered here, those who are at least members of the ANC. Just your take about this position when we saw the NASA take up its structure, and we saw them name Raila Odinga, the flag bearer, Musalia Mudavadi to be the premier cabinet secretary in charge of government coordination. I don't know, what's your feeling about the way these positions were shared out as a member of the ANC and the way forward as we head to the August 8th polls?
Yes, initially as a member of ANC, we thought whatever has been given to our party leader wasn't worthy, but for the sake of the unity of this country and for the sake of liberation of people from the operation of this operation of the government, we feel that position is not bad, provided right Reverend O'Reilly lives with his word that is only going there for 1 term. Then we think after 5 years, I think our party leader will have his load. Thank you.
Looking at it, it's a very, we are heading towards the campaign period, and at times they say Western Kenya does not vote overwhelmingly when it comes to the national elections. Do you think you'll be able to rally supporters, people in Western Kenya, to come out and vote en masse in the August 8th polls and ensure maybe NASA forms the next government?
This time around, I think Western Province is going to to surprise many, because people are coming out to vote overwhelmingly for NASA. And we are actually confident we are going to win. Yes.
So those are maybe, I don't know if you have any other, I just want to know your comment about this idea that when Musalia Mudavadi was chosen to be the premier cabinet secretary in charge of government coordination, do you think that is a position worth him as a ANC party leader?
Okay, first of all, I want to congratulate the NASA family for choosing the flag bearer because they have given us a direction that we've really been waiting for. And concerning the Musalia Mudavadi's position, I personally come from Bungoma as an aspirant of ANC. I feel it's okay because Kenya is more important than an individual. And the enemy of this country now, it's Jubilee, not NASA, not Raila Odinga, not Musalia Mudavadi, not Kalonzo Musyoka, and not the Isaac Ruto. So personally, I feel that we have a team that is going to liberate this country from the jaws of impunity from Jubilee. And I believe on August 8th, Raila Odinga is going to be the president, and we are going to have a government for the people and by the people. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Linda. Now you've just seen a cross-section of the views from those who are gathered here on the structure of ANC. It appears, on the structure of NASA, it appears maybe they are comfortable with it, and they say it was a give and take, and they believe that given that Raila Odinga will be a one-term, is agreed to be a one-term president, then they are comfortable. They'll rally behind the leaders, the Pentagon, and ensure that maybe they support them to up to the August 8th polls and see whether they'll form the next government. Linda?
Yeah, that would be a good place to end it, especially the last gentleman saying, I know when it comes to August 8th, Raila Odinga will be the next president of the Republic of Kenya. Let's see how it goes. Amimo, thank you so much. Keep an eye on that particular meeting that's happening, ANC meeting. Let us know what comes out of it at the end of the day. Patrick Amimo, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much. Right, you're watching News Center. Thank you so much for staying with us. Let's take a breather. And when we come back, we'll tell you about that decision that now will ensure that MCAs earn their salaries until their 5-year term expires in March 2018. So we'll be speaking to Duncan Okach to seek his legal mind on this decision. Stay with us.